Thank you both.
5 minutes to 9. Britain should convert all its road signs to metric by the time of the Olympics in 2012. Otherwise, it will be seen as a backward nation. At least so says the UK Metric Association, and its campaign is supported by, among others, Lord Howe, who is on the line. So is the Mail on Sunday columnist Peter Hitchens. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Lord Howe, don't we have bigger transport problems to spend our money on than this one?
It's a very small amount of money, actually, compared with the huge amount we spend on our roads every year. But it's a much bigger question than that. Ever since Magna Carta, it's been regarded as sense to have only one system of measurement in a country. And we need to have a system that is useful internationally. Britain is now virtually the only country, apart from partially the United States, that has not adopted the metric system. We've been teaching our children metric and not imperial for the last 30 years. We can't possibly go on with two systems competing with each other indefinitely, and it's necessary to complete the change. It's the only sensible thing to do.
Peter Hitchens.
Well, why do we need to change? It's a perfectly good system that we have. Millions of people know it. It's familiar. It's been polished by centuries of use. It's far more flexible than the metric system. Most of us who know the old system can easily convert into the other, and when I go abroad I do. And yet, interestingly enough, when I go abroad and I buy butter from farmers in Normandy, I buy it in Livre, and I buy eggs in Duzaine.
Okay, but
other people actually like the old system.
On this question of miles and kilometres, please answer the question that Lord Howe is making. Everyone else uses kilometres. Eventually we're going to have to, so let's just get on with it.
Well, why are we eventually going to have to? The United States, which is not a negligible country and which is the most economically successful country in the world, manages quite happily without metric measurements. It doesn't have any plans to get rid of them, and attempts to get rid of them in the United States have been resisted by people there, and because the United States is a free country, they've been successfully resisted. And bureaucrats like Lord Howe always want to impose these things on people because they want a neat, tidy, logical world, which just happens to be inhuman. 200 years after the metric system was introduced in France, no decent wine is sold in litre bottles.
Lord Howe. On the point about America, America still has miles.
America has metricated to the extent of about 40%. NASA and the Pentagon are completely metric. The world deals through NATO, therefore in metric weapons, if you like. And because NASA are still living in a country which is halfway there, they had one space mission going to Mars a few years ago, being measured and calculated and controlled entirely in metric. But they put in an imperial measurement by mistake and lost the entire mission at a cost of $125 million. That's the case against trying to muddle along uniquely with two systems alongside each other.
A very powerful argument, Peter Hitchens.
A very powerful argument for reintroducing fully the customary system of weights and measures, which has been developed in this country over centuries, which people like and which is human and actually far more useful than the toe-counting peasant metric system, in which you can't even divide anything by 3.
Lord Howe, you dismissed the question of cost, but when we spoke to Alistair Darling earlier, he said, why spend £700 million on something when we've got other problems?
Well, you see, the figure of £700 million is plucked out of the air. Ireland completed the process. I know a smaller country for about £40 million. The book that we've published today calculates that with great care and estimates the likely cost at between 40 and 160 million, spread over some years. That is a tiny amount of money compared with the cost of confusion in a system where we buy petrol in litres and still have gallons, so it's miles per gallon. So people can't calculate miles per gallon because gallons aren't there. We should join the rest of the world, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, India, South Africa, Ireland. We should rejoin the human race and complete what we started 40 years ago.
Peter Hitchens, final thought?
Well, first of all, no democratic discussion has ever taken place about this. It's always been imposed by bureaucrats. And why this huge vigour to change? Why is it that these metric fanatics are so desperate to get rid of these measures? Why was Steve Thoburn prosecuted for selling bananas by the pound to people who wanted to buy bananas by the pound?
Peter,
why get?
We're dictated by the clock, Peter Hitchens.